Hey everybody, welcome back. I thought today we'd do something a little bit more special or fun. Instead of me going off or rambling on and on and on about something on my mind or something in the AV news, I thought we would put this time to good use and answer some of your direct questions. So I reached out to you guys on social media and respond, you did. So without further ado, let's get to the questions. Vinyl J Record, screen name I'm assuming. What's the most ideal arrangement placement for bookshelf loudspeakers? Well, as with anything, arrangement or placement is strictly dependent upon your listening environment and your personal taste, what you can and can't accommodate, and thus doing the best you can. Anytime you're placing loudspeakers in a space that isn't dedicated or built specifically for the purposes of listening or watching a movie, there are going to be compromises. There just are. And that's fine. That's absolutely okay. And so this is kind of a, I don't know, this can't be a clear cut or cut and dry answer because other things affect placement in loudspeakers. If your loudspeaker is rear ported, you may want to put more space behind the speaker between the back of the speaker and your front wall. If it's front ported, that may mean that you can get away with that speaker being closer to the front wall. If you have walls that are close to the side, let's say you have a long, narrow room, you can potentially get away with your loudspeakers being closer to those side walls if you treat the side walls with acoustic treatments. If you don't, you may want those speakers to be closer together. So there is no kind of cut and dry solution here because, like I said, every time you're placing loudspeakers in a room that has not been dedicated or purpose-built around said speakers, there's going to be compromises. And so you need to do your research, go online, see what a lot of people say, try everything for yourself, and then decide what works best for you. KD Design _Wood Audio. KD Design _Wood Audio screen name writes, what type of tweeter do you like for which application and why? I personally have nothing against soft dome silk tweeters. I think I like them on a whole more than any other type of tweeter. And the reason I say that, and the reason I like them, is because I think they are the kindest high frequency transducer to the widest range of source material. I'm not saying they're the best. I do think that beryllium and diamond and aluminum have their advantages and have their strengths. But on a whole, I find that silk dome tweeters can be exceptional. But if your music or movie tastes aren't to the highest end or the best recordings, I find that silk dome tweeters can be a little bit more polite or kind to lesser recordings. And sometimes I don't want to listen to audiophile recordings. I just want to listen to music, in which case silk dome tweeters, they do it for me. Mil-Spec Landscaping. That's not a screen name. That's an actual business. I know, Brian. Mil-Spec Landscaping in Tennessee writes, what setup would you use for a shop that needed to have 2 speakers inside and 2 outside? Well, Brian, you didn't give me too much to go on here, but I'm going to assume that these speakers need to be pretty tough, maybe all weather, and likely accessible via your phone, because I have a feeling between you, your wife, and your kids, you're all going to be vying for who gets to play what and when. In which case, I would suggest a very solid, robust, outdoor all-weather Bluetooth loudspeaker. Bose makes a number of really great options that sound good, are all-weather, can be easily placed everywhere. They have battery life that lasts forever, or you can hardwire and plug them in. But the nice thing is they can be grouped together very easily thanks to the Bose app. And you guys are free to chime in, give Brian some suggestions down below, but the Bose Bluetooth wireless all-weather speakers are just the easiest to live with day to day, have, in my opinion, some of the best battery life and some of the best sound quality that I've come across at their price points. Mark Ochoa 87, thoughts on pressings of new vinyl. Better quality, worse, has it changed? Is new vinyl, are new records better than old records? To be perfectly honest, I think there's examples and arguments for both. I have purchased new records and have found them to be downright terrible. And I have bought 30-year-old used records and have found them to be immaculate. So, if anything, I think it kind of proves that, like anything in life, attention to detail matters, but also that vinyl as a format isn't as delicate as I think a lot of people go through life thinking that it is. But as far as quality, I don't know if the physicality, the physical quality of records is better or worse. I will say this, that a lot of records are just merely digital port overs, meaning that digital signal was just cut into the record itself, and what you're listening to isn't actually mastered in an analog format for vinyl. That will make a difference. Also, long play versus LP, long play versus non makes a difference. Yes, gram weight can make a difference, provided your turntable and cartridge and preamp and all of that can extract it. But yeah, I think on a whole, just surface speaking, I think there's good examples and bad examples of new vinyl, just as there were good and bad examples of old records. If anything, the recording quality of new albums being pressed to vinyl suck compared to back in the day. Lance Barker writes, any experience with vintage Bang & Olufsen, considering picking up a Biogram 4004 turntable? I love me some Bang & Olufsen. If you are a fan of me and this channel, you know that I am Team B&O. And I used to have nothing but Bang & Olufsen turntables, so yes, I do have quite a bit of experience. They are fantastic turntables, very easy to use, and their design is just mwah. However, when shopping for a secondhand Bang & Olufsen turntable, do understand what you are getting into. You are getting into a product that Bang & Olufsen themselves do not support. Period. End of story. I've asked. They do not support, and thus, because it is a European design and a very intricate, kind of different European design from way back in the day, depending on which model you buy, parts can be very expensive, and they all used proprietary cartridges, and those are becoming harder and harder to come by. Now, there is a third party out there that is manufacturing new cartridges, Soundsmith, I think it is. Their lead times are long, the cartridges continue to be expensive, and I personally have not used one on a Bang & Olufsen turntable, so I cannot vouch for their viability. Suffice to say, there are a lot of Bang & Olufsen turntables on eBay right now that are fully functioning but are missing cartridges. I would not buy a Bang & Olufsen turntable that did not have a working cartridge that was tested to be working good. Understand that even though a cartridge may be tested and working good, you may have limited lifespan with it, in which case you're going to forever be on eBay buying every possible good condition used cartridge that will fit your Bang & Olufsen turntable, just so that you have spares. And it is possible to buy a turntable, and if it decides to go tits up on you and parts are not available, then you have a big heavy paperweight. But I love them. I absolutely love them, and I would totally get more in the future. Sergey Veslik, where are the L100s? Where are the L100s? Well, they're still in the house. They are connected, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Shellstacks writes, do you have a local digital music server for downloads or rips, or are you media and online streaming only? If so, what? I used to have a digital music server and digital movie server, and I housed everything on a Dune HD ecosystem. So I had Dune players all over the house. I still have one Dune player in the house that is not connected to anything. It's actually just sitting in a drawer, and it has a 8 terabyte drive in it, I think, that's full of movies and music. Haven't plugged it in about 5 years. I am solely streaming, and I use Vudu, I use Netflix, HBO Go, Disney Plus, Apple TV Plus, YouTube TV is how I get all my TV. Obviously, I did Tidal for a while. I am now testing out Amazon Unlimited, and I have always, always, always been a customer of Google Music. But I do not have any dedicated or purpose-built like music server, streamer, NAS in my home anymore. And I haven't for about 5 or 6 years. But I did at one point, and it kicked ass, but streaming has come so far, so fast, that for me, I find the need for that type of a setup unnecessary. If my seat is 6 feet in front of the back wall, do I still need diffusion treatments behind me? Well, that all depends on what your back wall is, I think. If you have a giant bookcase that's got a bunch of books and whatnot and records and things like that, you may not. You may not. But if it's straight drywall or glass, yeah, you may want to put some curtains up just to soften it a little bit. Or if it's drywall, yeah, you may want to think about hanging diffusion. It really is hard to say without being there and without seeing the rest of your room, because there may be other things in your room that you're equating to the wall behind you, when in fact the problem exists elsewhere. And the other thing that I would ask you is, how high is the back of your chair? Because if the back of your chair comes up to around here when you're seated and listening, whether you're listening to music or watching a movie, the chair might be the problem that you're attributing to the back wall. Just food for thought, but I don't know. Experiment. Mr. Sonarge? I'm butchering names, I'm sorry. This one's gonna probably stir up some shit. What do you think about Sonos speakers? What do I think about Sonos speakers? Well, I don't know if you've watched my video on the Sonos announcement, but I have no problem. No problem whatsoever with Sonos products. Full disclosure, I don't own any Sonos products. I really don't. And I don't have a desire to, but I have spent a lot of time around Sonos products. They are ubiquitous, they are everywhere. And every time I walk into a space, be it a private home, restaurant, or whatnot, and I see that the whole place is being entertained by Sonos speakers, I am usually, completely and utterly amazed by what I'm hearing. I think they sound freaking fantastic. I do. And ecosystem be damned, legacy be damned. I think Sonos is going to stick around. I don't think they're going anywhere. This little dust up about older products being not receiving any more firmware updates, or now maybe they will. This just happens. This happens. You know, I'm a Google Home user. And that is an ecosystem, and I very much loved Chromecast audio, and Google just up and got rid of that, and that helped me make some of my legacy components interactive with my Google Home ecosystem, and they got rid of those little $30 little discs. You know, I thankfully bought a bunch before they were all gone, but yeah, it's the nature of the beast. But I don't have a problem with Sonos whatsoever. Other options, I mean, just to be better safe than sorry, I would say any smart speaker, whether it has a proprietary ecosystem or not, any smart speaker that has AirPlay or Bluetooth is likely going to give you the longest possible life. And things like that do enable you to do party modes, grouping modes, and things of that nature, which is very Sonos-like. So yeah, I don't think you need Sonos to get smart wireless home entertainment. But if you don't want to be beholden to an ecosystem, then yes, buy a powered smart speaker that is at least at a minimum AirPlay 2 and Bluetooth, whatever the latest version is, and you probably will be fine for quite some time. Justin Kramer writes, have you thought about using, or have you used Roon, and what's your opinion on it and other network streaming? I have not used Roon. So I don't have an opinion on it. I know a lot of people like Roon, and I don't fault them for liking it. It seems like a very, very good product. The last platform like that I used was JRiver, and it was immensely powerful, totally customizable, and a complete and utter pain in the ass at times because it was just so in depth. I've used Zapiti for movies. I loved Zapiti very much. My Dune HD media system is entirely Zapiti based, which is kind of like JRiver and what Roon is to music. But honestly, I find the interfaces that exist today on everyday streaming platforms that you get via Tidal, Spotify, Amazon, Google Play Music, I mean, they're great. They're great, and I have all the customization that I need. And if you pay for the extended services or the higher quality services, I have all the quality that I need too. So, no, I don't know anything about Roon. Sorry. All right, so this question was emailed to me today, and it's a rather lengthy one, but I'm going to just kind of get the last part of it, because I think a lot of you, especially a lot of you that have been brought to this channel or attracted to this channel because of my love for crown amps, this is something that's going to benefit you. So this is from Magnus Peterson, and he is thinking about adding a crown amp to his Yamaha receiver. And he wanted to know if he should use the 1.4 volt or the 0.775 volt on the input sensitivity. I would say the 0.775 for his case. But the second half of his question is, you also say in your videos something about speakers with the sensitivity up to 90 or 92 dB will be okay. My speaker has a sensitivity of 102. Will this go well with a crown amp? Here's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about speaker sensitivity, efficiency, whatever you want to call it, versus power. First of all, Magnus, straight away, you don't need a crown amp. You never need another amp other than probably what's built into your Yamaha. You're fine. And the reason I say that is because when you see, in this case, Magnus's efficiency or sensitivity of 102 decibels, what that means is that with 1 watt at 1 meter, so using 1 watt of power sitting 3 feet away from his particular speaker, that speaker can generate 102 decibels. Now, I don't know about you, but 102 dB is loud AF. And that is not, I mean, peaks where just real quick a burst or a dynamic swing can hit 102 is fine, but sustained listening at 102 is hearing damage territory. And in reality, a lot of us listen to music at high volumes in the mid 80s to low 90 dB when we're like, oh my God, this is amazing, it's so loud. We're not even close to 100. So that is what that means. So if you have a speaker that is, say, 90 dB efficient or sensitive, that means with 1 watt at 1 meter, it can produce 90 dB of volume, sound pressure level in a theoretical environment. Now, for every 3 dB in volume you have to double your power. So let's say we have a 90 dB loudspeaker. To go from 90 decibels to 93 dB, we are going from 1 watt to 2. To go from 93 to 96, we're going from 2 to 4. To go from 96 to 99, we're going from 4 to 8. And from 99 to 102, we're going to 16 watts. To go from 102 to 105, we're going to 32 watts. Starting to see where I'm going with this? To go from 105 to 108, we're going to 64 watts. Now, right here, you can kind of stop. I mean, 108 is loud, but let's just keep going. So 108 to, that would be 111. You're at 128 watts. At 111, you're in hearing damage territory. You're on uncomfortable listening levels. And that's on a 90 dB efficient speaker. You're at 128 watts. Now, granted, the more distance you put between your speakers and the size of your room and stuff does eat into those figures. But theoretically speaking, for every 3 dB, you double your power. But if you're not listening at 100 and 105 dB all the time, and you're down every day in the low to mid 80s is your spirited listening, then your amp is sipping sipping power all the time. Now, where you need Herculean power is if you have a very, a less than efficient loudspeaker, or something with a very, just like restrictive or resistive load, like electrostatics, magnepans, very, very large towers, speakers with complex crossovers, things that eat up power and are inefficient. Then you need power. But even then, some of these, people that'll sit there and be like, oh, you got to get yourself 500 watts. You're never going to use that. You're never going to use that. It's nice to have, I guess, peace of mind and stuff, but I would rather have a truly solidly built to 200 watts max, 250 watts max, and have the peace of mind that way. But in Magnus's case, with 102 dB speakers, you don't need a crown amp, buddy. You never did. You don't need anything other than maybe you could even get away with a single-ended triode or a 25 watt tube amp, push pull, whatever you want to call it. A crown amp, you're never gonna reap the benefits of that. So I wouldn't spend your money that way. And likewise, for people, if you have, say, a 200 watt amplifier and it's built by a reputable company, it's been serving you well, just because I have an affinity for crown amps, or maybe you've read a couple of things online or watched videos and everyone's telling you that they're the bee's knees, doesn't mean that you need to go get one. Because your 200 watt, your 125 watt amplifier, all intents and purposes, unless you really have the wrong amplifier mated to the wrong speaker, is going to be just fine and doing its job perfectly for you already. But yeah, if you have something like magnepans and you're wondering what everyone's talking about and why they're not coming alive, you need juice for magnepans. As a former magnepan owner, MMGs 1.6, 3.6s, and 20.1s for a spell. Yeah, I would say stuff like that, you can't have enough power. And that's what makes those speakers so frustrating, in my opinion. So that's it. That's the video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I cannot thank you enough for sending in and submitting your questions. I hope those of you whose questions I answered them to your liking. If not, please comment down below, and I will try and either clarify or do a better job. But if you have questions, maybe you didn't get them in time for the recording of this video, please do leave them in the comments below. As always, I thank you guys so very much for watching all of these videos and for sticking by me. And yeah, so if you liked this, please do thumbs up, like, and subscribe, ring the bell, all that jazz. And if you think I'm a big wanker, I guess you can hit the thumbs down. But anyway, I gotta run. It's getting a little bit late. But before I go anywhere, remember, the only person that has to like the sound of your system is you. So happy listening, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, take care, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.